Alright guys, John from Heavyset Tactical here, and before we go out to the woods, I just want to give you guys a couple quick specs and a quick look tabletop wise of this really awesome Warhammer by Work Tuff Gear knives with the open back sheath. You just unclip it here, and these big thumb ramps you can push on either side and it slides right out. Very interesting sheath. So this is going to be a really long review, outdoor review, so I wanted to just shoot some specs out real quick before we go outside, out onto the trail. So this is the Work Tuff Gear Warhammer, designed by Paul Walker, a custom knife maker from Melbourne, Australia. He's been doing it for about 10 years. Really loves stuff for his crazy backcountry Aussie trips and hard-working knives. So it's an SK85, it's 56 to 58 HRC. The overall length from tip to tip is 17.2 inches. The blade length is 11.5 inches with a cutting edge of 10.9. From here to here is 10.9. The thickness of the blade is 0.23 inches thick. It's got a really nice smoothed out edge here, 45 edge, so your thumb doesn't get all grinded up. Really nice full fuller and a really nice 90-degree spine, which you'll see on the video. It's in their dark washed blade, which is like an apocalyptic finish. It is just insanely good looking with this really awesome black, brown, and white G10 mixture. Super sick knife. Looks amazing. Acts amazing. And the SK85 holds up with great edge retention. So the thickness was 0.23 inches. It's a saber grind with a convexed edge, like a lot of their other knives, and the weight of this whole knife is 24.7 ounces. Excellent package. I'll have the prices in the description with what you'll be looking at as far as where you can get the knives and stuff, and some more information on the blade you're seeing. So now let's look at the Kitsun. Okay, so now this is the Work Tuff Gear Kitsun. This is the other new design by them that I was graciously accepted getting sent to me so I could test them out, do a hard use video for you guys today. So, great Kydex sheath, nice thumb, comfortable thumb ramp there, nice positive click. So this is the Work Tuff Gear Kitsun, and it is an N690 cryo N690 cryo, nice thick profile, skeletonized handle with the black G10 and red liners. Just a really cool knife. Big swedge on the front with a big broad tip. Really controlled handle grip with that skeletonized G10 handle. Very light. So this is the Kitsun L. Kitsun L is actually a really interesting name, and that symbol there I'll get to in a second. This is designed by Jeremy Boulder Valentine from Valavian Edge Craft LLC, which is his company. Really cool design. Again, it was one of those knives that I didn't really, it's just not really my normal style, but it just performed so well, and I swear to God, guys, it sounds crazy. Edge retention on this N690 cryo is ridiculous. Also, with that convexed edge on that saber grind, this thing batoned like a monster. I swear, batoned so great. You'll see it in the video. So this is the Kitsun L by Work Tuff Gear, designed by Paul Walker. N690 cryo, skeletonized tang, with that cool opening in the middle. Very comfortable. It really allows you to lock in with your pinky and trigger finger there. Have a lot of control. Very light. It is overall length from tip to tip is 8.8 inches. The blade length is 5 with a cutting edge from here to here at 4.4 inches. The thickness of the blade is 0.189. 0.189, so almost a 0.2 inch thick blade. Very, very stout. It's a saber grind with a convexed edge, which they did beautifully. You can really see how smooth it is rolled from that grind over to the convex. Just an excellent, excellent fit and finish from Work Tuff Gear as expected. G10 handles with the red liners, and the weight is 6.25 ounces. I believe it's about 10 inside the sheath. Very lightweight, very nimble, excellent knife. Really lock in. You guys will see all the hard work I do with this thing in the video to come. So let's get outside. What's up, guys? John from Heavyset Tactical, and today we are going to be taking a look at two of my new knives sent to me by Vic Lynn from Work Tuff Gear Knives. This is the Kitsune L, which is just excellent. It's actually in a cryo-treated N690 steel. And then we also have the Work Tuff Gear Warhammer. And I'm going to give you guys a little bit of info about the designer from this knife towards the end of the video. Just comfortable. The finish on it is excellent. And this one is in SK85, which is Work Tuff Gear's like hard use steel. It does patina a little bit, but I've never had rusting issues with their SK85. And as far as edge retention and toughness is pretty high. I'm going to do a tabletop review of this knife so you guys can see how they chamfered out this little thumb ramp here on either side. And then the sharp 90 degree spine starts here. This one has a sharp 90 degree spine above this big fuller here. That's just, it rivals an LT right. It almost has a burr on it. It's really sharp. So, let's get started. Guys, John from Heavyset Tactical here. I got my favorite bushcrafting utility saw here, hand saw. It's a collapsible button press. I always tell you guys about it when I'm out in the woods. It's called a Bahco, B-A-H-C-O. Bahco makes excellent saws. Less than 20 bucks, Amazon, eBay. I think I got mine on eBay originally for maybe like $18. So, I used it to score an edge around where I want the handle to be. And I'm going to use, because I happen to have these two excellent knives on me, I'm going to use this beastly thick cryo N690 Kitsune L. I'm going to use that to make the handle and kind of get my baton ready to do some video for you guys. Alright guys, I got my Kitsune L in the N690 cryo-treated N690, and this is a thick slab of N690. Has a skeletonized handle with the G10, black G10 and red liners. I really like that. And to be honest with you, I feel like this was supposed to be made as like a light, earlier I said boot knife in a short, I think, but it's not thin enough profile. I think this is more or less, you know, just kind of a new take on it, on a type of, you know, light utility belt knife. And it's got this really nice saber grind, but the big ticket winner here is this excellent, on most of their knives they're excellent, but on this one is especially this crazy convex edge. Now this is a polished convex edge on here, so it's just the like when you feel your thumb, when you run it over a good convex, you don't even feel it. It's like running it over a piece of butter on bread. It's just perfect executed convex edge. So I'm going to use this to just take some of these pieces out of here. Now I use that Bahco saw to just trace around the outside about a 1/4 inch in. So now I'm going to come over the top a little bit just to kind of form a handle, and we're going to knock these pieces out. A little too deep. Man, this thing cuts really well, guys. I'm hardly tapping this. And what happens is when you come into that, start to execute that cut, it's plenty sharp enough to get into that wood. But as soon as it gets in there, the transition between the blade where it's cutting into the wood and it starting to spread around that blade, you know, come in and make the cut, and then it starts to get pushed, separated. That's why I love Bark River knives too, because they're convex. They're like a full convex. This is a saber, so it's a lot more slicey. But because that's such a thick convex edge, it's not a micro convex. It's a full-size convex edge on that saber grind on the knife. So it's slicey, but it has that really nice spreading of the wood when you're batoning something more delicate like this. And there's something to be said about Work Tuff Gear knives. I don't think anyone on the planet is ever going to get one of these in their hand, any size, any type of knife, and worry about the tip breaking off, worry about the edge really going dull. Seriously, if I literally just ran this down there. Just excellent, excellent convex edge. It is a thick blade. Don't get me wrong, it's very thick. And the interesting thing enough about this knife is that it's not thin, so it doesn't ram right in, which is nice. But it has an interesting point right after the handle where that area is so thin right there. Look at the space between my fingers. So you almost feel like you have like a pinch, very precise control over the blade. So like it's a really, it's a very robust knife with that huge swedge, but it's actually really nimble in control wise. I kind of wish more knives, there's the old broomstick handle size Scandi bushcrafting knives like LT Wrights, and they're comfortable because you have a big thick grab, but this has so much control in where that tip's going and that edge is going. I really like it. So I did not bring my my specified piece of wood that I baton with. So I just wanted to get a general nice rounded handle in here a little bit, just for something to swing with while I'm doing some testing on these knives down here today. That's good. Alright, that's better. So, we're going to test out that Warhammer. We're going to do some chopping. And then we're going to test out both of these on some, medium-sized batoning tasks. Breaking down some kindling. Then see how each of them feather sticks. Because this Warhammer has an excellent, excellent finger choil. Super comfortable finger choil. And from here to here is actually like a flat surface. Then it starts to bow open. So if I'm looking at this correctly, I'm sure if I choke up on it, it has some pretty good tendencies, abilities for doing the finer tasks for a big knife. So we're going to see how each of these feather sticks. Alright, let's do it. Alright guys, so I'm going to use my little makeshift baton here. We got the Kitsune L, and I got the Warhammer. So I'm going to start off with the Kitsun. We're going to do a little batoning. I have some old stuff, some new stuff, some older, really dead hard stuff like this. And then I have some new fresh branches I cut down with the backhoe. So we're going to do a little bit of batoning on both and kind of see how this knife fares. You always get these designs in the mail, right? Whether you order them or whether they send them to you, different knife companies. And you look at it and you're not sure 100% what its ability or what it's going to be good or bad at. And the things that you usually think it's not going to be as good at just blow your mind. This is one of the best batoning knives that I've ever put against the wood down in these woods I'm at today. It just spreads it. Because of that convex, it goes in like butter and then just the whole way down. Like it's made to baton. Perfect, perfect. For breaking down kindling and batoning big stuff, small stuff, whatever you can reach that. I'd say this would take a 3-inch log on like nothing. It's just perfect. It goes right through it. Spreads it real nice the whole way down. Just an excellent batoner. It's one of those knives where you're not expecting it in any way, shape, or form to do what it's doing. It just is making a very simple chore out of it. Now let's try something a little harder. So this is a little bit thicker, a little bit harder. That's hard old dead wood. Going right down through a knot. I'll tell you what, guys. I mean, it still does it. And sometimes what I think I did was I think I went in at an angle a little so the knife was running down it while digging into that wall. But you guys can see here, this is that nasty red tinted fibrous wood, and I keep forgetting the name of what this wood is, but it's so furry and fibrous on the inside. And some of my bushcraft guys, you'll know what I'm talking about. That stuff that you cannot feather stick, that's just ridiculously fibrous and harsh. Now I'll still say, the outside of this wood that's a little more forgiving, sometimes those convex edges just feather stick so well. So let's do another run here. Let me see if I can go in at it a little straighter. But as you can see, it bows from this end to this end. It bows pretty good. And those fibers in there are just so hard to come through. Sorry guys, the bark's coming off my baton. What a tough knife. And I'm telling you guys, they don't call them Work Tuff for nothing. This is some of that wood that's just raunchy. Just real fibrous, real tough wood. And you can see the fibers in between there. It's like furry. Whew. It's pretty hot out here today, guys. So now I'm going to do a little batoning with the Warhammer, which I'm sure is going to be a whole different ball game. So again, we got some new stuff first. Then I got some of that nasty old stuff. Hard wood. So let's try this new stuff out. See how it fares. There we go, finally. You know, I bet you guys if I stood back and swung this thing and came right down on here, probably split that wood even better. But if we're out in a survival situation, we don't want to be taking that many chances. So I think batoning in a controlled environment is a lot safer. 3 knocks right through. I love Work Tuff Gear's knives, guys. Now it's a thick knife. You're gonna have to go and hit it pretty hard because it's a thick profile compared to this going through that wood, obviously. And I'm telling you guys, I bet you if I'm sure this is the type of knife where almost like a hatchet, right? You can go like this, get it locked in, and then just go like this. Again, just keep pressure on the knife so you're not coming down on yourself. Get that started. And I'll tell you what, as far as safely batoning through wood, I bet you this thing strikes like a monster. But and that's why that sweep on kukri knives and the design on this thing are so excellent for cutting into things, because when you're coming down at it, it'll run up that ramp there. So you don't even need a baton to baton wood. So now, that might be a little too hard, guys. This is really hard wood. The thing that's nice about these big flat-backed knives is you can kind of keep it, you can hit wherever you really need to on the knife without damaging it. That G10 is not going to be cracked off. It's a lot easier than the Kitsun because of that big profile. Sorry, I'm on a little bit of a hill here. This wood is hard. So again, you can really see how fibrous that is. It's almost like redwood or Australian wood. It's just so tough. But I want to see if I could even do that with this. Three little hits right through. That's a good way to split kindling without a baton. It's kind of like a hatchet when you get a hatchet rammed in there and you just keep running it down. So now, guys, what I want to try with both of these knives is we're going to see how well they feather stick real quick. So I know that this convex is probably going to be pretty smooth. Getting some real micro curls. You kind of just let the convex do its thing, kind of let the knife do its thing. I'll tell you what, guys, one thing about Work Tuff Gear's convex edges is that they are always excellent feather stickers. Even the big ones, the Grizzly, I'm sure this is going to be pretty excellent as well. But you just run that convex down. Oh, sometimes it digs in, but it's okay. Just run that convex down and let the convex do the work. You don't have to. It's not a hard job to find the angle on this that's good for feather sticking. The knife literally does it for you. Lay it in there flat and just come up a little as you're running it down. That was a little too deep. As you're running it down, that belly will find that wood perfectly. Super fine curls. Excellent for fire starting. And this back swedge here, the whole thing's not perfect 90, but this back swedge here, that's going to be where the money's at for lighting the feather stick with a ferro rod. Tell you what, guys, for not looking that ergonomic, it is comfortable. And for not looking like a woodsman knife or like a bushcraft knife, you know, it's kind of very, you can lock into it really well. It's got that palm swell, and you can put the thumb right on top, pinky right below, and kind of grab that swell of G10. You're not going to drop this knife. It's not going to get pulled out of your hand. But that convex grind is such an excellent feather sticker and batoner. It really works out just quite impressively. These curls I'm getting, even pulling towards me. I mean, it's just such a good feather sticker. I'm really a big fan of that Kitsun, the Kitsune L. So, I also want to see what this big boy's got to offer. Alright guys, now we're going to see, once you get that tree cut down, like I was saying, you're going to need to do some finer work with it. So I think with this really comfortable finger choil, really nice and broad, not too broad though, nice and chamfered on either side. They took that harsh edge off on either side. This is just such a comfortable grab right here, and I want to see if this knife is going to feather stick like I think it is, because most of Work Tuff Gear knives, and especially Aurora Borealis's designs, all his big knives will feather stick. Well, I guess I ate those words, didn't I? I always tell you guys I'm not very good at feather sticking, especially with Scandies. I still have some practice to do with the Scandi knives that I do have. But if those are not the most delicate, perfect curls for starting a fire with a fire rod, ferro rod, I'm telling you guys, this is one of the most elegant brute knives I've ever used. You just run that convex down there and let it do the work. I just think that's crazy. That belly, when you come down on that belly, it almost, this knife almost wouldn't even need to be sharp to perform with that kukri style stomach on it. It's just crazy. Just crazy. Crazy chopper. Right through it. So I'll tell you what, guys. The beautiful thing about Work Tuff Gear's knives is they really know how to do a convex edge. And this Kitsune L batons extremely well for its size. It's not a big knife at all. For its size, it batons very well, and it feather sticks extremely well, and it's very grippy. It has a really nice, again, it's a little more of an eccentric design, so it's not in my normal wheelhouse. And you know, for everybody, most of the guys that I'm in contact with that know me know that I don't like, you know, I don't blow smoke up people's rear ends when it comes to what the capability of these knives are, because every time I purchase a car, purchase a knife, purchase a house, anything, fix a car, fix a knife, fix a house, I go on YouTube and I try to find an honest review about its capabilities and what to expect, and I like to give that honesty out in my videos. That's partially why I enjoy doing what I do as much as I do, because it's my hobby, but I also like giving people honest opinions on the blades. And both of these, this Warhammer especially, everything a big knife can do, a little knife can't do. Everything a little knife can do, a big knife can do. Wait. Anyway, this Kitsun, the smaller knife, will not chop down a tree. But this can feather stick as well as this does. So, you know, the old saying about a big knife or a little knife can't do what a big knife can do, but a big knife can do everything that a little knife can do. And they say that because when it comes to survival knives, a lot of guys would rather have a big blade, because although the delicate work might not be as precise, you can still do it and you can still accomplish the tasks that you need to. But you'll never cut a big bush or tree down with this knife. It's not a chopper at all. I mean, it's, you know, I'm sure it will chop to its size and extent. You know, it has some chop to it, but it's just not, that's not its intended purpose, and that's okay. So yeah, it does chop pretty good, but that's not its purpose. But for a belt knife, it is comfortable, and it does the jobs that I needed to do as far as using it as a belt knife in the woods. But when it comes to this Warhammer, I'm telling you guys that it's a white, black, and brown G10 camo-like look to it, and it almost looks like that, you know, snow leopard print that that the Knife Connection does on certain Essie handles that I like so much. But I swear to you guys, the capability of this knife for finer work and how sharp it is. Work Tuff Gear Warhammer and SK85 with that crazy sharp 90-degree spine. This really cool swedge. It's like a kukri, it's just crazy. It's almost at that sword length. It's almost like a cross between the Grizzly, because the Grizzly had that nice broad, you know, the length from the hilt of the knife to the blade was nice and long, but it also has almost like a carnivore stance where it has that more thin profile. So it's just kind of the best of both worlds in that stomach. I just want to do a little chopping just to show you guys how well this works for, you know, for cutting up firewood, for making certain planks or whatever you're doing for housing. You know, if you're making a shelter, doing some shelter building out in the woods. But be careful, because these knives, especially the convex edges, sometimes when you're hitting something with wet sap in it, it can deflect off and come right down into your leg. So whatever you're doing, just be careful. I got my left leg kind of goofily up out of the way, and I know I'm not going to come down here because I got this log as a stopper. So you just got to be careful about what you're doing. Now that stomach has so much grab, because when you come down and hit, it's still kind of pulling in at whatever you're hitting. Now I wish I could turn this over to finish that cut through, but I just wanted you guys to see real kind of close up. Now I'm going to come on this side a little bit. I'm at a funny angle, guys, so I'm still just trying to show you its ability. So again, guys, the ability of this as a chopper is extremely well. If I really needed to, I could probably clear a 1-inch sapling with 3 swings. This thing is just devilishly sharp, devilishly ergonomic for penetration when you're swinging it down hard like that with that kukri stomach. And another thing I love is for penetration on the tip, they cut that real deep swedge into there on the top. So it does have a point to it, and it does pierce pretty well. There ain't nothing breaking that tip off of this knife. Now again, I wanted to show you, so you know, down the road we'll do more chopping with this thing, and I'll cut a little more than just that and that with it to show you guys. Maybe I'll do a whole tree and cut up the whole tree with it, because I want to show you guys just how capable of a knife it is. But this Work Tuff Gear Kitsun, that tip, that's a long, what looks to be long, thin tip, but this profile on this blade is extremely thick, a lot thicker than you think it is. And even those 45-degree angled swedges are cut out the whole way up this main swedge here. It still has such a hard, aggressive tip that will not bend and will not chip off. So any prying stuff, digging for grubs, doing whatever you're doing in the wood, I'm starting to hurt my damn hand. That tip is not going anywhere. So I just don't even think you could damage this guy. This thing is just in it to win it for all the tasks as far as shelter building, fire stuff, any kind of breaking down of kindling and logs, and including cutting the trees down. It's kind of a one-tool option for wood processing. So now I'm going to shoot over. I'm going to show you guys the awesome 90-degree spines on these against a fire steel ferro rod, and then we're going to call it a day. All right, guys, I'm going to show you how well these things strike a fire rod. This is my Bayite 6" by 1/2 inch. Does come with a striker. It doesn't even work. It's good ferro rod, goofy striker. So, first up, the Kitsun. See, when you first get a knife and you want to strike on it, the first couple strikes are kind of getting it set to the angle of the back of this knife. I'm going to try further up. Further up, not as good as this. Excellent. That's going to start any fire with fat wood or anything you're using it for. That's going to start it. And now they're big guys. One of the best things, if you want to come over here a little bit with the camera, one of the best things about these knives is you can stab it in this way or this way. So I can stab this in like this on a stump, and I can put my fat wood and things on that side, and because this is locked into the wood, I can draw across it like this. So when I tell you guys that these Work Tuff Gear knives 90-degree spines are always so nice. Look at that. You're starting any fire, any feather stick, any fat wood is going right up in flames with this. Just very, very capable knives. And I'm telling you, Work Tuff Gear just does it right sometimes. And that's why I love testing their stuff. So I'm going to head out. I'm going to hike back to the car, go home and clean these blades up. And before I hit them with a strop, leather strop or anything like that, I'm going to show you guys on paper the edge retention and see how it cuts. John from Heavyset Tactical, back at the house now. I got the Kitsune L and the N690 Cryo, and I got the Warhammer in SK85. You can see the marks from striking the ferro rod. Not as much on this one, but on this one. So you can tell that this is after my video. I got home. All I did was wash these off in the sink with a paper towel and a little bit of soap on my hand, rubbed it on the blade just to get the wood chunks off and clean that edge up a little bit. This is not resharpened, re-stropped, or re-profiled in any way, and this is how well they cut paper. Right? This is after we did our whole video, and I used them the day before up at the cabin for a while. Would you look at that? You can't curve those paper cuts without it being a really sharp edge. This is after we did that test in the woods and scraped the crap out of this back, and we batoned with this thing through some hard, knotty maple, dried up old maple. We feather sticked with it. That is one of the sharpest, really well done convex edges, and it would appear that I just resharpened it. I mean, it's still so sharp. So that's the Kitsune L in the Cryo N690, which has proved itself in tip strength and edge retention extremely well. This is the SK85, and you can see the damage to the coating. You know, I really used this thing hard today. Chopped a crap ton of stuff with it. Glides like butter right through that paper. Now it just kicked out because I was trying to do a curve cut. But that blade is perfect. End to end. Perfect. So you guys can see that this Warhammer, the Kitsun, is crazy. This Warhammer got probably twice the abuse from all that chopping, and that thing still end to end perfect. I just can't speak enough about the edge retention and the treatment of the steel, the treatment, the cryo treatment on the N690. Sorry, I'm eating my tongue today. And the heat treatment of the SK85 is just perfect. And like you guys know about Work Tuff Gear, I harp about it all the time. The not only the edges that you get out of the box, these are the edges out of the box. The convex edges you get out of the box are so ridiculously well done, and the edge retention of these steels that might not be considered as glamorous. You know, they're K329, the SK85, the N690 Cryo is a newer Work Tuff Gear steel, if I'm not mistaken. I can't think of a model that had N690 Cryo. But, K329, SK85, K340, the new Cryo N690, they are just done so well. You know, not one chip, not one roll, not one issue that I have found or had with any of their knives, let alone these two. They had a pretty harsh day down at the river. So I can't speak enough about these two models or Work Tuff Gear as a whole. Excellent edge retention.